So now I'm going to show you subtracting fractions. Here I have 3/4 and I'm going to take away from it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got sevenths and I've got 1, 2, 3 of those. So I'm going to take 3/7 away from 3/4. Now if you take an object and you cut it into 4 pieces, those 4 pieces are going to be bigger than if you'd cut it into 7 pieces. So straight away I'm guessing that this fraction is going to be quite considerably smaller than that fraction because we've got 3 of these and 3 of these. It's the same as if you're sharing out a cake. If you share a cake between 7 people rather than 4, you're going to get much smaller pieces each. Now again, as with adding, you need to make sure that they have exactly the same base pieces. So we're going to have to cut these 3/4 up into smaller pieces, and we're going to have to cut these 7ths up into smaller pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is write down my times tables for both. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 7, 14, 21, 28, and the number that is in both is 28. Oops, gone a bit blurry for some reason, there we go. So I'm going to rewrite both of my fractions into 28ths. So 3 over 4 is the same as so many 28ths, and 3 over 7 is also the same as a certain amount of 28ths. So to go from quarters to 28ths, I need to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times more cuts. Whoops. So if I cut this whole thing into 7 times the amount of pieces I already have, 3 chunks that I have on top are now going to become 21 pieces, because 3 times 7 is 21. Remember to do whatever you do to the bottom, to the denominator, you need to do to the top, which is the numerator. Same system here. To go from 7ths to 28ths, I need to make 4 times more cuts, because 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 7 times 4 is 28. So I need to times my numerator by 4 as well, so 3 times 4 is 12. So now what I'm going to do is actually cut up these into 28ths. So notice now that I've cut both cakes up into 24 pieces, and these pieces are identical, so they're exactly the same size. So now what I'm essentially doing is taking away these 3/7, which is actually 12 28ths, away from these 21 28ths I have here. So essentially what I'm going to do is cut off from here this much. So let's cover my blue ones over with my orange ones. It's very hard to do when you've got one hand. Okay, so now if you'd imagined that we'd taken away these blocks of 7ths away, we're left with only 9 28ths. So I'm going to show you this in our written form. We're going to do 21 minus 12 out of 28 pieces. Remember, you don't take 28 from 28 because you'd end up with 0, and that doesn't make sense. You can never have 0 written on the bottom of a fraction, it just doesn't make sense. You wouldn't divide anything by 0. So 21 minus 12 is the same as 21 minus 12, so that's going to be 9 over 28. Now, the thing to check is, does this and this have a common factor. Well, I know that 9 is 3 times 3, and that's the only way it can be broken down. I'm now going to see if 28 is also in the 3 times table. So let's write my 3 times table out. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. No, it's not. Our closest one is 27. So 3's won't go into 28, so I can't simplify because they don't have a common factor. So my final answer is 9 over 28. So just to recap, without all the visualisations, whenever you're taking two fractions away or you're adding two fractions, you must make sure that their base pieces are the same size. So rather than comparing fourths, so quarters and sevenths, what we need to do is convert them into the same number. So I know that they're both factors of 28. So I'm going to turn my 3/4 into 28s and work out how many quarters I need, how many 3/4 will become in 28s, and 3/7 into 28s. So to go from 4 to 28, I'm going to times by 7. So that means I've got 7 times more cuts. So these 3/4 are going to be cut into 7 times more pieces. So we end up with 21 over 28. 4 times 7 is 28, so I need to have 4 times more cuts. So these 3 pieces are going to be cut into 12 pieces now. So we have 21 over 28 minus 12 over 28. Now any time you have the same denominator, tell a lie, denominators at the bottom, you can write them as just one fraction. So 21 minus 28, where did that number come from? 21 minus 12. You end up with 9 over 28. 9 is not a factor of 28, so that's our fully simplified answer.